That's our goal. We want happy families. And if they use our drug, that's great. If they don't use our drug, that's okay also. But we want people, we want to create happy families. So the dynamic of e-marketing or e-communication and online marketing, I don't think there is such a thing anymore. I think it's just marketing. And good marketing, and you look at consumer goods, there has to be a part of your budget that you assign to the internet. There has to be ways of thinking differently, of engaging physicians differently, of engaging our patients and our consumers differently than just pushing out information in the DTC age. It's not about pushing information out. It's about conversing with our customers, conversing with our patients. And by doing this, what's also great is you can be very innovative. As you saw, people want to share the good information. It's viral. And you can also track your ROI. And so in closing, I think it's very, very important. As marketers, some of the biggest challenge that we make is we don't know what we're getting out of our investment. You can do lots of different programs. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult. You could do an advisory board, and in this compliant environment, we can't look at the doctors that go to an ad board and say, did their prescribing go up? Can't do that anymore. But with online, you're able to look at your cost per click. You're able to look and see how deep do patients go. Are they engaging with you? When you send out, we have an email campaign like the last speaker talked about. And we're able to actually look at acquisition through emails to be able to drive them through patient journey and get them to good information. And then we can see how many patients came at the top of the funnel, how many patients at the end printed out a coupon or went to some other website to get information, used one of our tools. And that's very trackable. You're able to get a return on investment. And it's a lot easier when you have to go and fight for money to be able to go and say, look, the reason that we're doing this is because we can show that there's a return. It's a lot harder when you say, no, you know, we've been doing this. We've spent $3 million every year on speaker dinners, and we think it has an effect. So yeah, let's do it again. Well, the age that we're at is transitional. We can't continue to do the same thing we've always done because look at what it's gotten us into. We've got to think differently. We've got to change. And I think that this is one of the best ways that we can do it because at the end of the day, we're all in business to help patients. And that's what it's about. So thank you for your attention. If we have time, I'm happy to answer any questions.
How do you get around these individuals being an agent of your company because you have trained them with your clinical information and you've provided them with coupons and things to distribute as a part of their website? So how do you get around sort of the DTC regulations, et cetera? I'm not saying get around them, but how do you work within them?
I think it's a great question because things are evolving. And within EMD Serono, we have a very forward-thinking regulatory and legal group that we work very, very closely with. There's some people from EMD Serono in the audience. They're probably like shaking their heads saying no. But compared to other companies, I think we're pretty evolved. And it's a conversation. And the reason the slide deck that they get trained on, so the physician has to go through, the slide deck has to go through a promotional review. It's basic. It's not brand messages. It's not about Gonal-F, which is our fertility drug, and why you should use Gonal-F to get better pregnancy rates. It's at a very high disease state level because there's so much bad information out there that we're training them on the good information. So we train, we put the slide deck through promotional review. The physician goes through speaker training. He's one of our speakers, so he's got a confidentiality. He's got a contract, you know, all the contracts. And then the bloggers opt in. So we invite them. If they choose to opt in, that's great. They're doing this. They can disseminate the information. It's going to happen. So the way we look at it is we're providing them with information. We don't monitor what they say because we can't. I mean, it's the way the conversation is. So we train them on credible information, and we hope that they go out and they do it. But we don't do it as a commercial for our drug. So within the different programs, we've got a website, Fertility Lifelines. They actually can put a widget on their blog which clicks through. So we can track the click-through widget when it's going to our $500 savings coupon. we can track that and we can see then who's utilizing it.
Great. Any other questions from the floor? We have one over here.
Yes. Other measures.
So the question was around metrics and what are we looking at? From an ROI standpoint, at a high level, we look at ROI, but what kind of ROI do you want to get, I think is still a question. Is it good to have a 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 10-to-1? What are we looking for? So it's good that you can measure it, and I don't think that we would stop or start a program by saying, oh, this isn't a high enough ROI. What I like using the tool for is to be able to go back after the fact and say, okay, here's what we did. Let's see where were the different programs, what were the different ROIs, and then we can compare them and say, look, we got more value out of this. Doesn't mean we might not do something else, but it also means that we can change it. What's fantastic about this, the digital world, is you can put up many different ads, click ads, search engine terms, and you can track all that to see which are the terms that are driving the most traffic. You can do it on a weekly basis, monthly basis. There's so much data, it's almost mind-numbing. But then you can see, okay, you know what? We thought this was a great attention grabber. It was terrible. This one was much better. So now you put that one on a different site. And then you see, you know what? That site's not good. We're not getting the kind of traffic that we want on that site. So maybe it's not even the term you're using. Maybe it's just the site isn't good. So you can really use the metrics to help much more focused and pinpoint use of where you're spending your dollars.
Okay, great. And David, one final question that I want to ask you just before we move on, because I know a lot of people are probably, saw the EasyPod device and, ooh, there's that wow factor there. So a couple of themes that we talked about this morning in terms of 2010 and what to keep an eye on. The one theme about pervasive use of technology in solving marketing challenges, and then data and intelligence being an underpinning. So when you look at a device like that, obviously there's a lot of information which is given to the parent, the caregiver. How do you see that evolving? If you were to look into the crystal ball of that connectivity of beyond just here's a display on the device, but as Nike Plus is to running, how do we look at the device world and how that can facilitate conversation with the HCPs and even look at macro or aggregate level data as well?
It's a great question. And that's something that we're constantly thinking about. And in fact, when you go into devices, there's obsolescence. And it's a challenge because as a pharma or biotech industry, we're basically conditioned to say it's going to take 7 to 10 years to develop the drug, get it on the market, and then we're going to have a patent life of 7 to 10 years. And we don't have to think much about life cycle innovation. We can get another indication, or we can do this. With technology and devices, we have to constantly be evolving. And as a company, we're actively learning about it because when we first put the device in the market, we launched it November of 2007. We've had a number of software updates because we've seen bugs, and we've had to have the flexibility to go back and make changes just in the device that we put out. Then when we look at what the future is, we have global teams that come together and say, okay, let's look at the best technology out there. Maybe it is putting an MP3 player in the device so that the patient has more interactivity. Maybe it's an LCD screen. We could send messages. We've done stuff with one of the other vendors that unfortunately I think was kind of ahead of its time, but online we did Choose Your Own Adventure. If anybody remembers those books growing up, we did a Choose Your Own Adventure for growth hormone deficiency to engage kids, and as a reward, if they went through the interactive session, we gave them music downloads.
Great.
So we were able to send out, okay, here's $3 in iTunes or $5 in iTunes. And unfortunately, we didn't see the level of interaction, but I think as technology evolves with this type of a device, we could actually stream it right to the device, have them go online, do some learning, understand the disease and why it's important to take the drug, and then be able to credit their account.
Perfect.
So there's a lot of really exciting what you could do next in the next couple of years.
Perfect, great. Thank you so much, David.
Thanks, Brian.